STEM fans, are you ready? Let's hear it for the world-class NASA STEM Stars team. From NASA centers across the country, we present Dr. Dynae Fullwood.
Hello and welcome to this week's NASA STEM Stars. Each week we connect with subject matter experts and learn about their STEM career and their personal interests in education. At the end of today's episode, I'm going to challenge you to complete your own mission and encourage you to share your work with us. I am Jen Hudgens and I'm coming to you from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Today's guest is Dr. Danae Fullwood from the Johnson Space Center's Office of STEM Engagement. Welcome, Danae, to the program.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. So you are asking me a bunch of questions and I want to answer them. So let's get back to it.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about yourself. What are you interested in? Where do you live? We'll start there.
Oh, well, that's easy. I live in Houston, Texas, in the Houston, Texas area. I work at Johnson Space Center, and I am interested in all sorts of things. I keep myself busy. I like to spend the thing that I'm most interested in is learning myself as much as I can. So I spend a lot of time thinking. I spend a lot of time figuring out who it is that I am and who I want to be, and everything else on the rest of this list actually becomes is a result of that. And so you can see I enjoy being a mom. You can see I enjoy learning. I enjoy the French language. My son and I, we put together a YouTube channel, and I dibble and dabble in other things like do-it-yourself projects and e-commerce, singing, and I also have a couple of books that I'm working on.
Wow, so you've written some books in addition to being that busy. Being a mom in itself is a full-time job.
Yes, at least one book is out there, and I'm in the middle of the second book trying to acquire the ISBN number for it. So it's going to be dropping here pretty soon. So it's really interesting. It's all loosely based on interactions with my son and some of his experiences and some of the things that he's learning. And so it's really faith-based, and it is morally sound, and it's something that I hope that he and the rest of my descendants will find useful, as well as the rest of the world.
That is fantastic, Danae. Best of luck to you on that second book. Can you tell us a little bit maybe about your childhood and maybe what inspired you to become who you are today?
Oh, my childhood was so much fun. I had so much fun as a child, as a youth. First of all, I'm an only child. And so I think that's where the acquisition of getting to know myself began. There I'm out on the front porch of my house in Glen Oaks, which is a neighborhood in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I used to spend so much time right there on that porch, just kind of playing with my toys and getting to know friends around the neighborhood as it was necessary, because I used to have a bunch of Milton Bradley games. And so I really needed to have two or more players for a lot of the things that I was playing with. But I had to figure out how to focus and figure out how to be tenacious when there wasn't anybody to play with. You also see a picture there of me with my high school volleyball team. We were the Capitol High Lions, where the powers and the pride. We had so much fun. That senior year, we went to the state championship. And the one thing that I learned about being on that team was that I was a good person who could serve other people. I was a setter on that team. And usually when you're playing on a volleyball team, it's all about the person who's making the spike, or it's all about the person who's giving that really good serve. But for me, I enjoyed being the setter, the person who set the ball up for the kill. And so I learned how to have fun doing that, serving other people. And I also learned how to focus and be tenacious when there was a problem or an absence of a resource.
So we've already had a comment. Someone, Jessica, says that she can't wait to hear all about you, that she thinks you're awesome. So can you tell us a little bit about how you got from working on a team, on a volleyball team, to maybe moving on into college? Like, did you have any mentors in high school that pointed you along the way, or tell us about that journey?
Oh, absolutely. My mentors were in the house with me. So, one thing that I had was a good example of how to serve other people. You see my parents there on the left. They're in that picture with me when I got my master's degree, and the picture on the right is when I got the doctoral degree. But my parents demonstrated to me what a community of practice was. They demonstrated to me what discipline was. They were both teachers and coaches, and they were servants in the community. They will never know how many people they have touched. I mean, the number of people that they have touched is untold. And I would like to think that I'm the first person that they touch. But I know that they started their careers before they had me, and I'm not the first person. But they have been just the best example of how to be of service to people and how to change a community. And so I am very thankful for them.
So at the beginning of the episode, I described your position as working in the Office of STEM Engagement. So that's obviously at the Johnson Space Center, but that involves education. So how did you get interested in working in education? And did you teach prior to coming to NASA?
Yes, I did. I got involved in education because, like most people will experience in life, you set out to do something, and usually if you're not comfortable with who you are, you may not be necessarily going down the right path. And so usually you get introduced to an adversity or a failure or something that's going to knock you back on the right course. And so I thought that I was going to be this medical doctor. I signed up for a pre-med program and everything. And, one of the things that you shouldn't do is have your Drosophila flies flying around the laboratory when you are in genetics class, or you shouldn't like faint when you walk into the physiology class because you see, anesthetized lab rat. So that wasn't for me. And what I did was I leaned on those things that I recall making me happy, service to other people and having fun and seeing growth happen not only for myself, for other people. So I said, well, let me try my hand at teaching. And so you saw the picture there. That was my first class. I was a teacher's assistant at a nursery school. And then I ended up going on to teach at Madison High School in Houston, Texas, as a integrated physics and chemistry teacher, as well as biology. And so you see me there on the right, having a good time teaching kids. Looks like we were studying colloids and suspensions that day. So yeah, I had a great time doing that. And so it ended up becoming more of a thing. I thought at the time, that I'd gotten all of this schooling and that I wanted to become a school principal because I wanted to, change the world and affect change. And I ended up having to try my hand at that. I was a bit young. I got the credentials really young, and I got to go around and do all of these interviews. And I don't know that they were so inclined to hire a 23-year-old as a school principal at a high school because people were still telling me, young lady, go to class. So, so that was a bit of a challenge. And so it seemed like I needed to build some more confidence. So what I decided to do was not give up on my dream to serve other people, but to find a different way to serve people. And so I figured at that moment, I'd made a decision. I'd changed my focus and I said, you know what, I'm going to be the absolute best teacher on the planet. Forget, all of these small time titles. I want to be the best teacher on the planet. And I started to take the steps to do that. I started to go to professional development opportunities and really got into learning robotics. And so if we could go to, I think I gave you guys a picture of it. If you go to that one slide where I'm sitting there with looks like a couple other people and a bunch of stuff sitting in front of me, that was a pivotal moment for me, just an absolute pivotal moment for me, because I was sitting there at this table And I was so focused on what I was going to be able to take back to the robotics club that I was going to start at my school. And, these students were going to be learning all of this application from what I was learning at this NASA workshop. This was hosted at NASA at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in California. And so I'm sitting there, and so what I didn't know was that there was someone there who was recruiting education specialists to come and do training for teachers, and so I was, laser focused, and there's something to be said about, having manners. Right, you can see in that picture that we didn't have a whole lot of elbow room, and I don't know if you've ever worked with robots before. Those were the RCX robots, the Lego ones. But you need a lot of elbow room. I mean, you need to get busy, but you can't see. Well, you can't see. Just on the left side, on my left, there is a table, and just behind me is another chair. And there was a lady who came, and she sat at that table in that chair behind me, and she was taking up more room than I was comfortable with her taking up. But it turns out she just wanted to get closer to me. She's spying on me, I think. And she really wanted to learn more about me. And so she made this pitch to the entire group. And she was talking to me at lunchtime. And it just was a pivotal moment. I think I was patronizing her for a little bit. And I said, oh, well, I need an application. And I realized how serious she was at that time, before she left, because like 30 minutes later, she slid me an application. And it just so happened that I had my CD with me that had all of my resumes and transcripts from when I thought I was going to be a principal, and I was going on all of these interviews. And it was the perfect moment where preparation and opportunity intersected. And that's how I ended up at NASA. And so in that job, I got the opportunity to have fun and exercise everything that I wanted to do. And so I was training teachers, and I was doing professional development for teachers and students. And you can see a couple of pictures there. I was having a great time teaching folks about what NASA was doing, showing them how to apply it to their classrooms, and really inspiring the next generation of explorers with these large group assemblies. It was just a blast. It was a blast.
So it sounds like your path from becoming a teacher into taking the workshops at NASA really put you on the fast track to being a STEM education lead like you are now. That is a fantastic, inspirational story, Dr. Fullwood. I appreciate you sharing that with us. We did have a question about what is your favorite thing about your job? So we might want to jump in a little bit about some of the experiences that you've had working at the Johnson Space Center and being an education lead.
Sure. So you can show that picture. I will tell you the best thing about being at my job, and you can see all of these, highlights of my career here. But I will tell you the best thing is that I'm getting to do what I set out to do, which is to affect change in the education community. It is to train teachers and give them what they need. It's to be of service to them. It is to, have fun doing it and being a great team leader and making sure that the opportunity to work on a team with me or to work on a team toward a larger goal is fun, and it is, exciting, and it inspires others, and your energy is transferred to them. Like, that's the best part. These things that you see here on the screen, well, those just happen to be, I don't know, they just happen to be perks. It was fun standing there with Queen Elizabeth of England when she visited Goddard Space Flight Center. But what was more fun to me, more fun for me to witness, is those kids in that picture teaching her about subsurface, how you can see things under the surface of ice, and how you can, use layers of how ice melts and how ice freezes again to, to tell a historical story. I got an opportunity to work with John Holdren, who at the time was the director of the Office of Science Technology Policy. And it was nice to just co-present with someone who also had such a significant amount of influence in the education community and in the STEM community. And likewise, spending some time with former astronaut Charlie Bolden and former NASA Administrator Charlie Bolden, co-presenting to students in Washington, D.C., a lesson about rockets, knowing that he had the experience of being on a space flight, and me having the experience of understanding what the teachers and the students needed to understand in order to be successful on a standardized test. I mean, that was just a nice marriage. Again, where opportunity met preparation is something that is really the best part of what I do. And so here, just some other opportunities, other perks, having the opportunity to continue to engage people, inspire people, and also being rewarded for it is again just a perk. You see me there. I'm in the curation lab where most of the moon rocks are kept at Johnson Space Center, and we had the distinct privilege of going into that lab and just doing some observations. And so those are the kinds of things that we get to do just because we're at NASA. But the best part is helping teachers and students.
That is probably my most favorite part of the job as well. Very inspirational. And we've had comments from Lisa and Rosie both saying that they wanted to thank you for being an inspiration to our future generations. And you're an awesome STEM servant leader. So I just wanted to pass those comments on to you as well. Isn't that awesome?
Thank you.
So since you are
Yes.
such an inspiration, why don't you tell the students that are working or watching us today some of the opportunities that we've been creating for them to be involved in NASA's work?
Absolutely. So NASA is right now focused on the Artemis program. Okay, and the Artemis program has set out to put the first woman and the next man on the moon by 2024. And, we're going to have all of these partnerships with commercial partners and international partners trying to figure out how to go to the moon and look at, more regions of the moons than we've ever looked at. And then also use that as a stepping stone to first of all sustain life there and build a sustainable system there so that we can springboard to having the first astronauts on the surface of Mars. And so, we think that you guys are the Artemis generation, just like we had the Apollo generation. Now we think you're the Artemis generation, and we want you to be involved in that. So our team puts together opportunities for you to get involved with NASA like right now. There's no reason why you can't begin to prepare so that when the opportunity comes, just like it did for me, just like it did for other people, that you will be ready to jump and pounce on it. So for teachers and students, we've got class lessons that you can do. And then we also have webinars that you can attend, and all of these resources are free. You just need to go to our Express email sign up. Express email is a newsletter that we send out every Thursday. I think it comes out about 2:00 Central every Thursday. It's easy. Just go to nasa.gov/STEM and sign up for it so that you can stay abreast of these opportunities that are coming to you. So there's ways for you to conceptualize ideas, and there's ways for you also to help NASA solve some of its problems. And my guess is that there are some talented students out there that we truly need to tap into their resources and their thought processes that are not limited by our thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we've dropped that link that you just mentioned in the chat box. So I'm going to encourage the students to visit those resources and get involved definitely with what Dr. Fullwood is involved in. And then I also want to encourage students to check out the Artemis program for sure and see what we're doing with the Space Launch System rocket and those opportunities that are available for students to help solve our problems like Dr. Fullwood mentioned. So make sure you drop your questions in the chat box. We're going to keep moving. I think our next couple slides is more about your life and at work. Like, what is it like at NASA? What is it like working at the Johnson Space Center or at Goddard or all of these things and these great people that you get to work with?
Capital F, capital U, capital N. It is fun. It is fun. I love going to work every day. I love making people laugh. And I will tell you, at first it's fun. And then from there, we get all the other stuff done. We know why we're there. We're there to collaborate. We're there to dream. We're there to make opportunities for students so that their own dreams can come true. And you can see this, we get rewarded for it. We spend a lot of time together. It's really, really collaborative. There's nobody at NASA on our team that has a terrible idea. Nobody has a dumb question, nothing like that. Everything is received with grace and is received with respect. And we measure it against what we're capable of doing based on the resources that we have at the time and the guidance that we're told at the time. So we look for opportunities to maximize for students and teachers, and we keep them in the forefront. If we don't keep teachers and students in the forefront, then we miss the point. So we center on collaboration. We center on everybody's strengths, and then we center on having a good time, making a good time for others.
Speaking of good time, I think the next picture that you shared with the 0G flight, that looks like a good time. Can you tell us a little bit about this next picture?
Oh, yeah, that was fun. That was the result of an opportunity that we had for teachers to come to NASA and actually fly experiments on the zero gravity. On a zero gravity flight. We have since replaced that opportunity with other opportunities. So again, I encourage you to go to nasa.gov/STEM and make sure that you sign up for our NASA Express email so you'll know about these kinds of things. But that was the experience of a lifetime, and it helped me to understand that I probably am the better with keeping my feet on the ground, but there are people who would just love to have the opportunity to go to space. That one helped me to understand that not exactly me.
So I think you've inspired a lot of students out there that may have been thinking about education as a career and maybe leveling up a little bit and working for an agency like NASA. So I think your story has been super inspirational. I do want to encourage students in the mission for this episode. So just real quick, we're going to ask students to make their own moon phase calendar and calculator that you can use all year long. And the reason why we did this activity is because we are the Artemis generation. We're going to be going to the moon here in the next few years, so might as well start watching it now. The website for this activity will be dropped in the chat for you, and I want to encourage you to share your moon phase calendar and how you're using it on social media at our hashtag NextGenSTEM. And then I'm going to also encourage you to tune in next week for an episode with Ilio Morillo, who works out at JPL with the Mars Perseverance rover. We'll be touching down on Mars on February 18th, and this is a kickoff to those activities, and that will happen at 2 Eastern next Wednesday. And make sure you hit that subscribe channel button at the bottom so you'll make sure you won't miss another episode. So, Dr. Fullwood, before we close out the episode, I want to give you another chance to maybe give an inspirational message. This episode kicks off our Black History Month for the month of February in the United States. So what would you say to those African American students out there that want to aspire to something as great as working at NASA? What would your advice be?
You can do it. You can do it, and it doesn't matter that you're an African American, right? Because at the end of the day, we're all human, right? And I would say this, I would say that whatever you want to do and whatever you can do depends on how you look at yourself, how you define yourself. So if you think you can't with a T, then you can't. But if you think you can, you can. You have to believe it. And you have to focus. You have to be willing to put in the work, which is what I call discipline, in order to go toward what that larger dream is for you. And when you reach an opportunity that, I'm sorry, when you reach a crossroads, what kind of looks like a failure, understand that it's not a failure, but it's nothing more than you being put back on the path toward your greatness. You got to stick with it, and don't do it just for yourself. Do it to serve others. Enjoy the process, because the process is the fun part. It might not feel comfortable all the time, but when you get to what that vision was, you will understand that you helped to create that. That's what I would say. You are now what you thought you were before, and what you'll be in the future is what you think you are now. That's what I would say.
That is brilliant, and I really hope students heard you, and they need to go back and listen again. Thank you so much for those inspirational words, Dr. Fullwood. I hope you have a great day, and I hope to see everybody else next time. Thanks, STEM fans.